We have something really exciting to share with you today. It's all about enhancing the appearance of your Linux desktop. Welcome to Thanh Does Linux and More. I'm Adrian. And as always, my friend Tern is here to dazzle us with his amazing Linux skills.
Hey there. I'm really excited about today's topic. Customizing your Linux desktop is one of my favorite subjects to discuss. There's something truly satisfying about transforming a plain vanilla system into something that reflects your personal style.
I've seen your setup, and it's honestly mind-blowing. The average person probably has no idea that you can even do half of that stuff, right?
That's exactly right. Many people don't realize that Linux offers incredible freedom to change almost everything about how your system looks and operates. The best part is that it doesn't have to be complicated.
So today we're going to dive into how our listeners can personalize their own Linux systems.
Absolutely. We'll discuss everything from simple theme changes that can be done with just a few clicks to more advanced techniques for power users. By the end of this episode, everyone will have at least a few tricks to customize their desktop and make it uniquely theirs.
So before we really dive into the how-to stuff, I'm curious, Tan, why should someone actually bother customizing their Linux desktop in the first place? Like, what's the real benefit here?
That's a great question. There are numerous reasons to customize your Linux desktop. First and foremost, it's about making your computer work for you rather than the other way around. When you set things up exactly how you want them, your workflow becomes smoother. You know what I mean?
Uh, like how specifically? Can you give me an example of how it improves workflow?
Absolutely. Imagine you're a developer who frequently switches between your code editor, terminal, and browser. With a customized setup, you can create specific keyboard shortcuts to quickly navigate between these applications. Alternatively, you could use a tiling window manager that automatically arranges your windows for maximum efficiency. This setup can save you countless moments of frustration throughout the day.
That actually makes a lot of sense. What about the visual stuff? Is that just about making things look pretty, or is there more to it?
It's not just about making things visually appealing, although that is certainly a part of it. The aesthetics are more significant than many people realize. When you genuinely enjoy the appearance of your desktop, you tend to enjoy using your computer more. It's similar to decorating your home. You don't have to paint your walls or hang artwork, but doing so makes the space feel more personal and pleasant to be in.
I never thought about it that way, but yeah. I guess we do spend hours staring at these screens.
Absolutely. What really distinguishes Linux from Windows or Mac OS is the level of personalization it offers. With those other operating systems, you are generally limited to the design choices made by their companies. You might be able to change the wallpaper or rearrange some icons, but your options are quite restricted.
And Linux is different?
Oh man, it's completely different. With Linux, if you don't like how something works, you can simply change it. Don't like the arrangement of the window buttons? You can modify them. Want your desktop to resemble a spaceship control panel? That's possible too. Prefer keyboard shortcuts over mouse clicks? You can set up whatever shortcuts make sense to you. It's total freedom.
So it's really about making the computer truly yours in a way that other systems don't allow?
Absolutely. There's a wonderful sense of accomplishment that comes with setting up your ideal desktop environment. Once you finish configuring everything just the way you want it, you can take a moment to sit back and reflect, thinking, I created this. This is exactly what I envisioned. That feeling is truly special, especially when you've previously had to work with whatever setups were provided to you.
So after hearing about all those benefits, I'm really curious about the actual desktop environments that are available. What are the main ones people use in Linux?
There are many desktop environments available, and this variety is one of the greatest strengths of Linux. Let's begin with GNOME, which is currently one of the most popular options. It features a clean and minimalist design, along with an activities overview that displays all your running applications and workspaces. To put it simply, GNOME is elegant, but also quite opinionated in its design philosophy.
What do you mean by opinionated?
The GNOME team has a clear vision for how users should interact with their computers. They have removed many of the customization options that were previously available to prioritize a more consistent user experience. While it is visually appealing right out of the box, It offers limited customization unless you begin to add extensions.
And these extensions, are they difficult to install?
Not at all. There is a website called GNOME Extensions, where you can easily browse and install various extensions with just a click. Think of it as a store for browser extensions, but for your desktop. You can add features such as system monitors, application menus, weather widgets, and much more.
What about the other environments? You mentioned KDE.
KDE Plasma is essentially the complete opposite of GNOME in terms of customization. It's like a paradise for enthusiasts who love to tinker. You can customize just about everything: the panel, widgets, notifications, window behavior, animations, and more. Additionally, you can set different configurations for various activities or virtual desktops.
That sounds almost overwhelming. Is it harder to use because of all those options?
It's a common misconception that KDE requires extensive customization. In reality, the default settings are quite good, so you don't have to make any changes if you prefer not to. However, there are plenty of options available for those who want to explore further. Additionally, KDE has become much more resource efficient in recent years, addressing previous concerns about its performance.
What about something more lightweight? I've heard about XFCE.
XFCE is an excellent choice, particularly for older hardware or for users who prefer a desktop environment that is unobtrusive. It is exceptionally stable, rock solid in fact, and adheres to a more traditional desktop layout with a panel, a start menu, and desktop icons. The level of customization is moderate. It offers more options than GNOME, but is less complex than KDE.
Are there others worth mentioning?
Definitely. There's Cinnamon, which was designed for Linux Mint and provides a very familiar experience for users transitioning from Windows. Mate is another great option that carries on the legacy of the old GNOME 2 desktop. Additionally, there are more experimental environments like Budgie and Pantheon, the latter being the desktop environment inspired by macOS used in elementary OS.
So with all these options, how do you recommend someone choose which is right for them?
I often advise people to explore a few different environments before choosing one. Most Linux distributions allow you to install multiple desktop environments and switch between them at the login screen. Start with the one that looks appealing to you and use it for a week, then try another one. Everyone has different preferences, and what works perfectly for me may not suit you. The beauty of Linux lies in that choice.
So, beyond just picking a desktop environment, what about making it look the way you want, like changing the colors and icons and stuff?
That's where the real fun begins. Theming is one of my favorite aspects of customizing Linux. Essentially, every desktop environment supports themes in various ways, which can entirely transform how your system looks and feels.
How difficult is it to actually apply these themes? Do you need to be like a coding expert or something?
It's actually quite simple. Nowadays, for most desktop environments, you just need to download the theme files and place them in the correct folder, typically in your home directory under Themes or Icons. After that, you can select the theme in your appearance settings.
Oh, that doesn't sound too complicated.
It's actually quite easy now. Many Linux distributions come with built-in theme selectors in their settings. For instance, KDE features an impressive tool called Get New Stuff, which allows you to browse and install themes, icons, and widgets directly from the settings panel. Similarly, GNOME offers the Tweaks tool, making theme switching very straightforward. You can effortlessly switch from a light theme to a dark one, or choose something completely different with just a few clicks.
What about the actual themes themselves? Do you have any favorites?
I've experienced many phases with different themes, but right now, I'm really into one called Arc Dark. It's a beautiful dark theme with subtle blue accents that is easy on the eyes during long coding sessions. As for icons, I'm absolutely in love with Papyrus. The icons are colorful without being overwhelming, and it has options for practically everything.
And fonts? Can you change those too?
Fonts significantly impact the overall feel of a design. I've chosen Fira Sans as my system font and Fira Code for my terminal and code editor. I really like Fira Code because it features unique ligatures, special combined characters for coding symbols. The spacing and readability of these fonts work well for my eyes.
What about, like, window borders and those little details?
The details truly enhance the polished feel of a desktop. You can customize the window decorations, including the placement of the close, minimize, and maximize buttons, as well as their design. Some themes even alter the appearance of sliders, checkboxes, and other interface elements. And let's not forget about cursor themes. I use one called Bibata, which features a smooth animation when you click.
This all sounds really cool, but does it affect performance at all? Like, do fancy themes slow down your computer?
That's a great question. Most themes have a minimal impact on performance nowadays. However, more complex themes with many transparency effects or animations may use slightly more resources. With modern hardware, though, this is usually negligible. If you're using older hardware, there are plenty of lightweight themes designed to be efficient.
Where would someone even find all these themes and icon packs to download?
There are some fantastic resources available for desktop customization. For example, gnomelook.org, despite its name, features themes for nearly all desktop environments, making it a massive treasure trove of options. Additionally, GitHub hosts numerous theme projects. Another great place to explore is the subreddit r/Unix-porn, which is completely safe for work. Here, users showcase their desktop customizations and often share their configurations.
So if someone messes up their theme or doesn't like it, can they easily go back?
Absolutely. That's one of the great things about it. Nothing is permanent. You can easily revert to the default theme with just a few clicks. I recommend making a quick backup of your default settings before you start customizing extensively. This way, you'll have a reliable configuration to return to if needed. But honestly, half the fun comes from experimenting.
So, we've talked about theming, but I've heard people mention window managers a lot. What exactly are those? Are they, like, different from desktop environments?
Great question. Window managers are a component of your desktop environment, but they can also function independently. Essentially, they control how windows behave on your screen, specifically how they open, close, resize, and arrange themselves. For example, desktop environments like GNOME or KDE include their own window managers. However, you can also use standalone window managers for a more customized experience.
Oh, I see. And what's this tiling thing I keep hearing about?
Tiling window managers are quite different from the traditional window management systems most people are accustomed to. Instead of allowing you to drag and manually position windows, a tiling window manager automatically arranges your windows in a grid layout. This results in an organized and efficient way to manage your applications on the screen.
That sounds interesting, but wouldn't that be confusing to use?
It definitely has a learning curve. However, once you get the hang of it, it becomes incredibly efficient. Think about it. No more dragging or constantly resizing windows. Everything is managed through keyboard shortcuts, allowing your hands to stay on the keyboard. When you open a new window, the system automatically makes space for it by resizing the existing windows.
What are some examples of these tiling window managers?
i3 is likely the most popular window manager for beginners. Other options include Awesome, DWM, and Xmonad. My personal favorite is Sway, which is similar to i3 but operates using Wayland instead of X11. Each of these window managers has its own philosophies and configuration styles, but they all share the same core idea: keeping your hands on the keyboard while allowing the system to manage window positioning.
Is it really worth the effort to learn all those keyboard shortcuts, though?
For some people, definitely. It really depends on your workflow. If you frequently use multiple terminals and code editors and find yourself constantly rearranging windows, a tiling window manager can save you a significant amount of time. Since I switched to one, I've noticed a substantial increase in my productivity because I'm no longer constantly adjusting window positions.
How difficult is it to actually set up one of these tiling managers?
I won't sugarcoat it. There's definitely an adjustment period. Most tiling window managers are configured through text files, which means you'll be editing these files to set up your keyboard shortcuts, define how you want your windows to behave, and more. However, there are great communities for each of them, offering sample configurations that you can use as starting points.
Can you still use a mouse with these, or is it keyboard only?
You can definitely still use a mouse, but you'll find yourself relying on it less over time. The real magic occurs when you adopt a keyboard-driven workflow. Many people who switch to tiling window managers find that they can't go back to traditional window management afterward. It becomes second nature, if you know what I mean.
Do you think it's something beginners should try, or is it more for advanced Linux users?
If you're new to Linux, I recommend starting with a traditional desktop environment to get comfortable. Once you feel ready, don't hesitate to experiment. Consider trying a desktop environment like GNOME or KDE, which offer built-in tiling functionality, such as GNOME's window tiling extension. This can provide a nice transition before you fully dive into a dedicated tiling window manager.
So, speaking of keyboard shortcuts, I feel like that's something I should be using more often. Do you set up a lot of custom shortcuts for your workflow?
Keyboard shortcuts are incredibly effective for boosting productivity. I find myself really focused on optimizing my workflow using them. Once you develop that muscle memory, you can save hours each week. Plus, Linux offers a lot of freedom to create shortcuts for nearly anything.
What are some of your favorites that you use regularly?
I have shortcuts for nearly everything, honestly. My absolute favorite is Super plus Enter to launch a terminal. It's probably the one I use hundreds of times a day. Then, I've got Super plus W for my web browser, Super plus F for the file manager, and Super plus E for my text editor. These shortcuts provide quick access to all my common applications.
That makes sense for launching apps, but do you have any for managing your workflow too?
Absolutely. I've configured Super plus 1 through Super plus 9 to switch between workspaces. Additionally, I use Alt plus H, Alt plus J, Alt plus K, and Alt plus L to navigate between windows, similar to Vim-style navigation, but applied to my entire desktop. I also have custom shortcuts for taking screenshots, such as Super plus Shift plus S to select a specific area to capture.
How difficult is it to actually set these up? Is there like a central place to configure them?
The process of assigning keyboard shortcuts depends on your desktop environment. In environments like GNOME and KDE, you can find a dedicated section for keyboard shortcuts in the settings where you can easily add custom commands. It's quite straightforward. For window managers, such as i3 or Awesome, you'll need to edit the configuration file directly. The great thing is that you can assign a shortcut to any command that you can run in the terminal.
What about for specific applications? Can you set up shortcuts for those too?
Absolutely. Most applications come with their own built-in shortcuts, but you can also create global shortcuts that function regardless of which app is currently active. For example, I use Super plus Shift plus M to mute my microphone across the entire system during calls, no matter which video conferencing software I'm using. Additionally, I have mapped media control keys so I can manage music playback without needing to switch to my music player.
That sounds really useful. Do you think it's worth the time investment to set all this up?
Without a doubt, the initial setup may take about an hour, but the benefits are substantial. Consider this. Every time you reach for the mouse, click through menus, and then return to the keyboard, you're losing several seconds. When you multiply that by hundreds of times throughout the day, it quickly adds up. Additionally, there's a certain satisfaction in navigating your entire system without having to lift your hands from the keyboard.
Do you have any suggestions for someone just getting started with custom shortcuts?
Start small. Choose the 5 actions you perform most frequently and create shortcuts for them. This could include launching your browser, opening your email, accessing the terminal, or switching workspaces. Once these shortcuts become second nature, add 5 more. Before you know it, you'll be completing tasks at lightning speed and wondering how you ever managed without them.
So, let's talk about desktop widgets and applets. I've seen some really cool Linux desktops online with all these .information displays and stuff. Is that hard to set up?
Desktop widgets are one of my favorite ways to customize Linux. They are small applications that sit on your desktop, providing quick access to information or functionality without the need to open a full program. The best part is that they are relatively easy to set up in most environments.
What kind of widgets do you use on your system?
I use several widgets daily, but my most essential one is the System Monitor widget. It displays CPU usage, RAM consumption, network traffic, and other important system metrics at a glance. This widget is extremely helpful when I'm working on resource-intensive tasks, as it allows me to monitor performance easily.
That sounds really useful. What about other types?
Weather widgets are really important to me. I have a simple, clean widget in the corner of my screen that displays the current temperature, weather conditions, and a 3-day forecast. It saves me from having to open a browser just to check if I need an umbrella, right?
Do you have anything for productivity or work stuff?
Absolutely. I have a to-do list widget that syncs with my task management system, which is always visible in one of my workspaces. This way, I can't conveniently forget about important tasks. Additionally, I have a calendar widget that displays my upcoming appointments and deadlines. Having this information readily visible really helps me stay on track.
How do you actually add these to your desktop? Is there like a store or something?
The process varies depending on your desktop environment. If you are using KDE Plasma, it features plasmoids, which are essentially widgets. To add them, simply right-click on the desktop, select Add Widgets, and you'll find a wide range of options to choose from. On the other hand, GNOME provides extensions that function similarly, which you can access through their Extensions app or website.
What about more technical widgets? Anything interesting there?
I have a terminal widget that allows me to execute quick commands without having to open a full terminal window. I've also set up a custom script widget that monitors my backup status, turning red if my backups haven't run in more than 48 hours.
These all sound really handy. Do widgets use up a lot of system resources?
That's a great question. Most modern widgets are quite lightweight, but their resource usage really depends on their functions. For example, a widget that consistently pulls data from the internet or analyzes system performance will consume more resources than a simple clock display. The great thing about Linux is that you can check exactly how much CPU or memory each process is using, allowing you to determine if it's worth keeping running.
What would you recommend for someone just getting started with widgets?
If you're looking for a highly customizable system monitoring tool, start with Conky. It offers incredible flexibility and can display a wide range of information, from system statistics to RSS feeds, and much more. Essentially anything you can script. However, for beginners, I recommend first trying the built-in widgets in KDE or the extensions available for GNOME. These options are more user-friendly and easier to use while you become familiar with the concept.
Speaking of customizing stuff, I've always found the terminal a bit, intimidating with its plain black background and white text. Is there a way to make it more friendly?
Oh man, Adrian, the terminal is actually one of the most customizable aspects of Linux. I agree that the default appearance can be quite dull, but with a few adjustments, you can turn it into something not only more user-friendly, but also truly beautiful and far more functional.
Really? What kind of customizations are we talking about here?
Let's start by discussing shells. A shell is the program that interprets your commands in the terminal. Most Linux distributions come with Bash as the default shell, which is reliable. However, there are alternatives like Zeech and Fish that offer additional features and are easier to customize.
I've heard of those, but never really understood the difference. What makes them better?
Zesh, for example, has a fantastic framework called Oh My Zesh, which provides a wide range of themes, plugins, and productivity features right out of the box. It offers improved tab completion, syntax highlighting that indicates whether a command is valid before you execute it, and informative prompts that can display information such as Git status and virtual environments.
That sounds helpful. What about the visual stuff? Can you change colors and fonts?
Absolutely. You can fully customize your color scheme. I personally use a theme called Dracula across all my applications, including my terminal. It's a dark purple-blue theme that is easy on the eyes for long coding sessions. There are hundreds of options available, such as Solarized, Nord, and Groovebox. each with both light and dark variants.
How do you actually change these things? Is it complicated?
Customizing your terminal is quite simple. Most terminal emulators, such as GNOME Terminal or Console, have a preferences menu where you can adjust colors, fonts, and transparency settings. For shell customization, you'll need to edit configuration files. I'll read news is that there are many tools available that make this process really easy.
What about those fancy terminal prompts I see in screenshots? With all the icons and stuff?
Those tools are fantastic. I use a tool called Power Level 10K with Zayish. It provides an incredibly informative prompt that displays Git information, command execution time, and even shows error codes when something goes wrong. Additionally, it utilizes special fonts known as nerd fonts, which include icons and symbols that give everything a polished appearance.
That actually sounds like it would make the terminal less intimidating, with all that visual feedback.
Absolutely. Don't overlook terminal multiplexers like tmux. They allow you to split your terminal into multiple panes and windows and save sessions. Once you get accustomed to it, you might find yourself spending more time in the terminal because it becomes an incredibly productive environment.
So Tan, we've talked about all these cool customizations, but what happens if my computer dies or I need to switch to a new system? Do I have to set everything up from scratch again?
That's a really good question, and it highlights something very important that many Linux users tend to overlook. The answer is no, you don't have to start from scratch, and this is where effective backup strategies for your configurations become essential.
What's the best way to back up all these customizations?
The most elegant solution is to create what we call a .files repository. In Linux, most configuration files are stored as hidden files in your home directory. These files begin with a dot, such as bashrc or dsrc, which is why we refer to them as .files. By creating a Git repository, you can store and version control all of these configuration files.
Wait, so you just copy all those hidden files into a Git repo?
You wouldn't want to copy your entire home directory for backups, as it contains many files that aren't necessary. Instead, focus on selectively backing up the configuration files for the programs you've customized. You can then use symbolic links or symlinks to link those files back to their original locations in your home directory.
That sounds complicated. Is there an easier way?
There are tools specifically designed for managing .files. Tools like GNU Stow, .bot, and Chesmois can take care of all the symlinking for you. Personally, I use a custom script with Stow, which makes setting up a new machine incredibly easy. All you need to do is clone your repository and run a single command.
What kind of files should people make sure to back up?
The essentials would be your shell configs like .bashrc or .hrc, your terminal configs, window manager or desktop environment settings, keyboard shortcuts, basically anything you've spent time customizing. Oh, and don't forget your .vmrc or .emacs if you use those editors.
Do I recommend storing these online, like on GitHub?
Absolutely. Making your .files repository public on GitHub or GitLab offers two significant benefits. First, it allows you to access your configurations from anywhere, making it easy to set up a new machine. Second, it enables you to share your configurations with others and learn from how they set up their systems.
Any tips for people just starting with this backup approach?
Begin by starting small. Don't attempt to back up everything at once. Focus on your most important configurations first, test the restore process, and then gradually include more files. Always make sure to review your configuration files before adding them to ensure you're not unintentionally including API keys or passwords.
That makes sense. It's like creating a portable version of your customized environment.
Absolutely. Think of it as your digital home that you can carry with you everywhere. It may seem like extra work at first, but when you need to set up a new machine and can do it in minutes instead of days, you'll be really glad you took the time to invest in it.
So, we've covered a ton of ground today, haven't we? From desktop environments to window managers, themes, shortcuts. There's just so much you can do with Linux.
Absolutely, we really have. The main point here is that Linux, offers you an incredible freedom to personalize your computer. It's not just about aesthetics, although that's certainly a factor. It's about creating an environment that functions exactly the way you want it to.
What would you say are like the most important things for someone to focus on if they're just getting started with customization?
Start by choosing a desktop environment that feels comfortable for you, whether that's GNOME, KDE, XFCE, or another option. You don't have to make all your changes at once. Take your time. Customize one aspect, get used to it, and then move on to the next.
And where can people find some of these resources we talked about, like the themes and icon packs and stuff?
There are several excellent places to explore for customization ideas. First, visit sites like gnomelook.org or kdelook.org, depending on your desktop environment. GitHub is also a fantastic resource for discovering .files repositories shared by other users. You can simply search for .files and find thousands of examples. Additionally, don't forget to check out Reddit communities like r/Unixporn, where people showcase their beautiful customizations and provide details on how they achieved them.
Those screenshots on r/Unixporn are always so impressive.
They truly are. Remember, everyone started from the beginning. Don't let those highly polished setups intimidate you. Start small, experiment, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's genuinely how you learn. The Linux journey is rewarding because of the process of gradually shaping your perfect setup.
Well, I think that wraps up this episode of Thanh Does Linux and More. Thanks for sharing all this awesome knowledge with us today, Thanh.
It's always a pleasure. To all our listeners, I'd love to see what you create with your Linux systems. Please feel free to share your setups or questions with us in the comment section below.
And don't forget to subscribe for more Linux tips, tricks, and deep dives. Until next time, happy customizing.